Every street hides a story. Welcome to Scary Tales by Sid. I've always hated train stations at night. Not the busy ones, not the loud ones, the empty ones. The kind where the air feels stale, like it hasn't been disturbed in years. Where the lights hum louder than they should. Where your footsteps echo just a little too long, as if something is listening, counting them. This happened on one of those nights. I had just finished a late shift. My body ached, my mind was foggy, and my phone battery was nearly dead. I missed the last bus by minutes. Walking home would have taken over an hour through half-lit streets I didn't trust, so I went underground. The station entrance swallowed me whole. The stairs felt steeper than usual, stretching downward longer than they should have. By the time I reached the platform, the world above felt far away, like it no longer existed. The fluorescent lights flickered weakly, casting pale blue shadows across the concrete. The smell hit me next. Dust, oil, damp metal, and something else underneath it all. Something old. There were people on the platform. That should have been comforting. It wasn't. They stood far apart, evenly spaced, like they'd been arranged. No one sat on the benches. No one leaned against the walls. They just stood there, facing the tracks. Not one of them was talking. No phones, no music, no sighs of impatience, and none of them looked at me. I slowed my steps, suddenly aware of how loud I sounded compared to them. I cleared my throat. No reaction. I shifted my bag. Still nothing. It felt like I had walked into a photograph. Above us, the digital board flickered. Normally it shows times, destinations, delays. This one showed a single word. Arriving, no time, no platform number. Just that. The lights dimmed slightly, and then the train arrived. No screech, no vibration, no rush of air. It slid out of the darkness smoothly, silently, like it had been waiting there all along. The exterior was matte black, unmarked, with windows so dark they didn't reflect the station lights. The doors opened. At the exact same moment, every person on the platform stepped forward, not hurried, not hesitant, perfectly synchronized. That's when fear finally settled into my chest. I stopped walking. Something deep inside me screamed that this was wrong, that whatever this train was, it wasn't meant for people like me. But the platform behind me felt colder suddenly, emptier, like if I stayed, I'd be alone with something worse. So I stepped inside. The doors closed behind me with a soft hiss that sounded final. The inside of the train felt dead. The lights were dim, tinted a sickly blue-green that made everyone's skin look pale and unhealthy. The seats were cracked vinyl, damp and cold. The air was thick, heavy, like breathing through fabric. There were no ads, no route maps, no emergency instructions, just rows of seats and passengers. I sat near the middle car. That's when I noticed it. No one was blinking. Every passenger stared straight ahead, eyes wide and unfocused. Not asleep, not alert, just empty. Like whatever had been behind their eyes was gone. A man near the door had dried blood under his fingernails. A woman across from me had tear tracks carved deep into her cheeks. One teenager's lips moved silently, repeating something over and over. I couldn't hear it. The train began to move. At first, it felt normal, the familiar sway, the faint rhythm beneath the floor. But after a while, something felt off, too smooth, too steady. I glanced out the window. Nothing. Not tunnel lights, not passing walls, just darkness. Deep, endless darkness. It wasn't reflective either. I couldn't see myself. It was like staring into a void that swallowed light. I checked my phone. No signal. No time. The screen wouldn't update, except for one thing, my reflection. It stared back at me, smiling. Not a friendly smile, a knowing one. My stomach dropped. I shut the phone off immediately, heart pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. That's when I noticed the breathing. Behind me, slow, wet, uneven. I held my breath, hoping it would stop. It didn't. A voice leaned close to my ear and whispered, "You weren't supposed to notice." The voice sounded like mine, but hollowed out, stretched thin, like it had traveled a long distance to reach me. Cold breath brushed my skin. I didn't turn around. I couldn't. Instead, I looked at the other passengers. They had changed. Some were slumped forward, necks bent at impossible angles. Others clutched the seats so tightly their fingers looked fused to the metal. A man near the end of the car had no shadow beneath him. The lights flickered, and for a brief moment, the train wasn't a train. The walls pulsed, veined and organic, contracting slowly like something breathing. Faces pressed against the windows from the outside, mouths open in silent screams, hands dragged along the glass, leaving trails that faded like breath. Then the light steadied. Every passenger turned to look at me, all at once, their mouths opened in perfect unison. Next stop. The train jolted violently. The doors slid open. There was no platform. Beyond the doors stretched an impossible city suspended in darkness. Buildings leaned at unnatural angles. Streets spiraled downward into nothing. Dim green lights floated in the distance like dying stars. Something massive moved out there, watching. A figure stepped into the doorway. The conductor. He was too tall, too thin, his limbs bent wrong. His uniform hung off him like it belonged to someone long dead. His face was smooth, no eyes, no nose, just a wide carved smile. "Tickets," he said gently. I told him I didn't have one. His smile widened. "That's all right," he said softly. "You already paid." The passengers began to stand. Their movements were jerky, unnatural, like puppets pulled by invisible strings. One by one, they stepped off the train and vanished, erased. The conductor turned to me. "You're the last one." Something inside me snapped. I ran, past grabbing hands, past doors opening into places that shouldn't exist, past screaming walls and whispering floors. The train screamed. Metal twisted, lights shattered. Voices called my name from everywhere at once. And then, I woke up. On the platform. Morning light. Normal commuters. Someone shaking my shoulder, asking if I was okay. They said I must have fallen asleep waiting for a train, but there is no late-night train on that line. No conductor, no dark cars, no destination. And sometimes, when I stand alone on a platform at night, I see it, far down the tracks, lights flickering, doors opening, waiting, because once you've boarded that train, it remembers you. Some stories stay with you, until the next street tale.